Ready? Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming and joining us. Happy New Year to those. I haven't said that already. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Planning and Stakeholders Relation Committee. Members from this committee, could you please identify yourselves?
Tom Bergender.
Joe Totten.
Senator Williams.
Other members from the board, could you please identify yourselves?
Emma Schuker.
Jen Liptak. Laura Sohinki.
Thank you. The minutes from the November 13th, 2025 meetings of this committee has been circulated. Unless there's any questions or corrections, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion carries. Now we will hear a presentation from Saint Pierre, who will update the committee on the November 2026 service changes. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Good morning, committee members. I'm Philip St. Pierre. I'm the Director of Transit Scheduling here at PRT. And today I'm going to give a brief overview of the February 22nd, 2026 service changes. So in a month, we'll be updating our schedules. We have a routing change here for the Route 55. This is a minor routing change that was implemented due to the project for the Monfayette Expressway construction. Camp Hollow Road, it was a shift in the road, and they implemented some roundabouts in that area. And this has caused us to have to discontinue some stops in that area because of the setup of that roadway there. So those discontinued stops are at Camp Hollow Road at Beverly Drive, Camp Hollow Road at Lebanon Manor Drive, and Lebanon School Road at Camp Hollow Road. We have some route updates. We're not calling these routing changes because these routes are currently operating how they will be come February when the service change goes into effect. So we're basically just updating what is currently on detour today and formalizing that into the schedules of the service changes come February. So the waterfront, if you don't remember the waterfront situation prior to the October service change, we had a request to relocate the stops at the waterfront from the storefronts out to Waterfront Drive. And then there was an agreement reached to maintain those stops at the storefronts at the Waterfront Drive. So we put the schedules changed in October, but then we put it on detour of the actual routing that was going to remain. And now with the February service change, we are maintaining that current routing and formalizing that into the schedules. In Oakland, in January 4th, we closed down the contraflow lane on 5th Avenue. And so the following routes are on detour. And we are updating those routes that are currently operating today. And that's going to be the 54, 61D, 71A, 71B, 71C, 71D, the 75, 93, and the P3. We also had another detour that we added into the October service change that was discontinued right before the October service change, and that was due to the Heron Avenue Bridge. So we added that detour into the service change, and then the detour went away, and so it's been on detour to utilize the Heron Avenue Bridge, and now we're in the schedule for the service change, we're going back to using the Heron Avenue Bridge that we are currently using today. So really, it's just route updates on what we're doing today. All right, we have a lot of runtime changes. These are updates to times that it takes for a vehicle to travel, the length of the route, or in between time points along a route. So those routes are the Route 1, the 6, the 8, the 15, 17, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27, the 28X, 31, 58, the 61 series, the A, B, C, and D, the 67, 69, the 71 series, so the 71A, B, C, and D, the 75, 77, 79, 82, 86, 87, 88, the P1, the P68, and the Silver Line. So these are running time changes that we implemented daily for every day of the week, weekday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have some running time changes for weekday only, and that's going to be the route 29, 65, P3, P10, P12, P16, P17, P67, and the P78. We have running time changes for weekday only, and that's going to be the route 16 and the 36. We have some frequency changes to discuss. So the route 6 on weekday in the morning is going from 25 to 30 minutes. The midday is going from 40 to 45 minutes, and the evening is going from 40 to 45 minutes. On Saturday, in the morning and midday is going from 38 minutes to 30 minutes, and evening from 38 minutes to 40 minutes. On Sunday is going from 38 to 40 minutes all day long. And the same details for the route 15 as the route 6 and the 15 are interlined. So the 15 on weekday in the morning is going from 25 to 30 minutes, midday from 40 to 45 minutes, and the evening from 40 to 45 minutes. On Saturdays for the 15 in the morning and the midday are going from 38 to 30 minutes, and evenings from 38 to 40 minutes. And on Sundays, it's going from 38 minutes to 40 minutes all day long. Route 17 on weekday, the evening time frame is going from 52 minutes to 55 minutes, and the 17 on Sunday is currently ranging between 49 to 51 minutes and is going to 50 minutes all day long. And the 31 on weekday is going all day from ranging from 34 to 41 minutes to 38 minutes all day long. The 31 on Sunday is going from 70 to 75 minutes. 36 on weekends is going all day from 80 to 90 minutes. 67 on weekdays, the morning and afternoon peak is going from 36 minutes to 40 minutes. And the 75 on Saturday is going all day, ranging from 41 to 45 minutes to 40 minutes all day long. The 77 on weekdays, the morning and afternoon peaks are going from 40 minutes and 50 minutes off peak to 45 minutes all day long. The 77 on weekday is going all day from ranging from 55 to 75 minutes to 60 minutes all day long. The 82 on weekdays is the early morning and the late PM, the late evening, is going from 28 minutes to 30 minutes. The 82 on Sunday is going all day from 32 to 36 minutes to 30 minutes. The 86 on weekdays is going from 31 minutes in the peak and 36 to 43 minutes off peak to 30 minutes at peak and 40 minutes off peak. The 88 on weekdays, the morning and afternoon peak, and the evenings are going from 32 minutes to 30 minutes, and midday from 32 to 35 minutes. The early morning and late evening from 48 minutes to 45 minutes. The 28X on Sunday is going from 36 minutes to 35 minutes. And the 71A on Sunday currently ranges from 28 to 39 minutes, and it's going to match the other frequencies for our BRT routes, and our shortened Oakland routes is going to match at 45 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes midday, and 45 minutes in the evening. This will align, like I said, with our BRT and other non-BRT Oakland short-term routes. And the same details for the 71C on Sunday is currently operating 35 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes midday, and 35 minutes in the evening. And that's going to go to the same setup of the 45, 30, 45 setup, same as the 71A. And the 71D is the same details as the 71C. We have some variant changes to discuss. The P3 on weekdays, we've added 2 new weekday outbound short trips from Oakland to the East Liberty Station. These have been added in the morning peak hours. And the P68 on Saturday, when we implemented the service to the VA at Monroeville, it was opened on Saturday, but that facility is not open on Saturday anymore. So we're just having that match the Sunday variant where we don't serve the VA in Monroeville. So the facility's closed on the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday will be the same routing variant for that. All right, we have some trip time changes to discuss. Some trip times have been adjusted. This is typically in the range of 1 to 5 minutes, and this helps improve scheduling efficiency. It helps streamline how trips are organized without changing the level of service provided. Riders should check the most updated schedules online or in the printed brochures for the most accurate departure times. So on weekdays, the route 2, 14, 18, 01, 05, 19L, the 012, the P13, the 44, the G2, the 51, the 51L, the 52L, 74, 83, and 89. So that's for the weekdays. On weekday and Saturday, it's the 81 and the 91. And on Saturday only, it's the 11 and the 81. And that concludes my presentation for today for the February service changes. And I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Philip, I have a question going back to routing and the waterfront in particular. There was, as you mentioned, some proposed change where the routing stops were going to be changed, but then they were put back to where they are right now. But there was some discussion at that time about trying to come up with an alternative permanent solution with Homestead. Has anything developed in that regard?
So we just got some communication yesterday to continue those discussions. So right now, nothing is planned at the moment. Those discussions may continue and we may be able to get something before the next June service change, but that's still up in the air, but nothing's been formalized yet.
This is Bobby. First I'll say, I noticed the changes in how the service changes are being communicated and appreciate the greater detail. I'm curious about the increased frequency for the 71A and basically all the 71s. I know that you mentioned this is to align the BRT and non-BRT short-term Oakland routes, going from 35 to 45 minutes in the rush hours. I'm just curious about that decision.
So one thing that we're really targeting for the Oakland routes is trying to reduce bunching in Oakland. And this is one of the things where on Sunday, yes, the frequency is certainly less than our weekday frequency, but what we're trying to do is keep those routes, the 8 routes, the entire 61s and the entire 71s having the same frequency will help hopefully keep them better spaced apart and reduce bunching. So that's what we try to do was align all of those frequencies the same. And so that was one of our strategies, is to align the frequencies for all the 61s and 71s.
And I'm in general with the changes at the airport, wondering how that's impacting the 20X.
I don't have any details on
Okay.
the impacts at this time. We can come back with further information and for further evaluation at the airport.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now hear
Oh,
a presentation from, does someone say something?
Sorry, this is Bobby. I just realized I had one more question. It's just in general. In many of these local routes that are increasing in their frequency, they seem to have fairly good ridership. But I don't know if what the exact numbers are. So again, I'm curious what the overall decision is with reducing their frequencies.
Yes, so a lot of the routes that are increasing in frequency is due to the additional run times that have been added. So whenever we look and evaluate the run times for a route, and if we're adding a lot of time into those routes, that requires us to go back and look at the cycle time of a route and look at the number of buses that we have dedicated, the number of buses and operators dedicated to that specific route. So in some circumstances where we may be going, for an example, from 38 to 40 minutes, that is basically due to us adding a lot of runtime, looking at layover times, looking at the cycle time of the route. And then if we're using eight buses for that route, we're trying to keep the same number of buses and the same number of operators dedicated to that route. So that may require us to increase frequency slightly so that we can maintain the cycle time without adding a lot of resources that we may not have at this current time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So another thing is if those buses are running late, it's really, they may be operating at 40 minutes today just because they may be operating late. And so as we're truing up the schedules and looking at the running times for these routes, that from the customer perspective, it may be they may be running every 40 minutes just because, you know, the schedule may be operating late currently. So it's really truing up the schedules, looking at that, balancing out layovers for our operators so that the operators can have time to recover at the end of the line to get those routes back on time for the next trips in the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now hear a presentation from Ms. Egler, who will give the committee updates on the PRT Public Art Action Plan and Heinz Grant funding.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. My name is Maura Egler. I'm the manager of transit-oriented communities for PRT, and one of the many hats I wear here is I manage our public art program. So I'm here to give you an update on that program and as well as some funding that we recently received to support that work. Okay, so just a little timeline and background about our official program. In 2021, the board adopted our formal public art policy, which included a permanent art policy, temporary art policy, as well as a de-accessioning policy, which basically means how we take art. If we have to take art offline for construction or some reason, this is the process for how we do that. In 2023, we did a national benchmark study. We proposed some amendments to our art policy, and then we drafted a budget for the conservation of our current collection. In 2024, we amended our art policy to make some changes based on sort of who can sit on an arts committee that we will be formally establishing in the next next 18 months. And then we started a strategic plan or an art action plan for the program. In 2025, we had our collection assessed, we completed the art action plan, and we were awarded a grant from the Heinz endowments for $240,000 to support the work of the program for the next 18 months. So while our formal art program was kind of established around 2021, we've had art in our system for many, many years, since the beginning of the downtown subway system, or T. So I just wanted to sort of review kind of what are some of the bigger pieces in our collection that are by some very important and famous artists. So this first one is in Wood Street Station. This is by Saul LeWitt. It's called 13 Geometric Figures. It's on the upper platform level, and it's painted slate on white Georgian marble. So this is a very exciting and big piece. Saul LeWitt has a lot of really internationally renowned pieces as well in the MTA system in New York. This is in Gateway Station. This is a Romare Bearden is the name of this artist. It's called Pittsburgh Recollections from 1984. It was actually moved when the Gateway Station was renovated and rebuilt. It was moved from the old station and reinstalled in 2012. This is at the platform level, and it's a mosaic made of handmade ceramic tiles. This is one that you may not realize is actually a piece of art. This is in Steel Plaza. This is by Jane Haskell. It's called Rivers of Light. It's at the platform level, painted aluminum, neon, and glass block lighting. And then finally, this is another one you may not necessarily realize right away that it's public art, but these are ornamental frames by Albert Paley at Wood Street Station at the platform level. They're powder coated steel. The original intent behind these frames was that they would showcase cultural happenings in the Pittsburgh region. So just a couple more updates from us on the program. We completed the Public Art Action Plan late last year. We compiled a vision and purpose statement for our program. We created an art program website, which is live. It's engage.rideprt.com/art. So check that out if you're interested. We composed an internal art database. So, compiled sort of all of our holdings into an internal database. We conducted some internal tours with staff for our LRT art collection. And then, of course, as I said, we received the program funding for 18 months to carry out the items that we laid out in the Public Art Action Plan. So what are the goals of the action plan? The first is to develop a strong program foundation. So create a resilient funding structure, figuring out sort of how do we find a sustainable funding source to not only conserve our current collection, but possibly acquire new art as we renovate stations. Adopt a conservation maintenance policy. So doing some internal, education to make sure that we're taking care of the stuff that we currently own. Develop an art integration framework. So this is developing a formalized plan for how we put art into our designs and planning of new stations and other facilities. And then expand outreach and engagement. So just to basically make people aware of our program and the collection that we currently have. The second goal is engaging riders through community-centered art. So that is basically opening up raising awareness for the program, making sure the community is involved in the selection of artists and anytime that we want to acquire new art, making sure the community is centered in that process. And then number 3, advancing artist participation and expanding opportunities. So this is making the art, when we are in a position to put out new solicitations, making sure that local artists have access to those resources and are able to participate. And finally, so we were awarded this $240,000 grant to support our work for the next 18 months. That includes conservation of the existing LRT collection. So just fixing up, some bumps and bruises on some of our current collection. Creating essential foundational documents. So this is the fund administration of the program. This is the kind of behind the scenes admin work to make sure we're in a position to have all the processes in place to get new artwork and to also entertain when people approach us about art opportunities. Maintain and maintenance and conservation education, that's largely internal, broader staff and community awareness, and then tour. So we'll be partnering with a cultural trust, possibly, to hopefully make our art more accessible to people and raise awareness and open it up to the public. That's it. Did I answer any questions?
Yes. Do any members have any questions for Ms. Egler?
This is Emma Schucare. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I love this and to thank you for all the work that you're doing on this. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
This is
Any other members?
Yeah, I echo that, and was curious if PRT has a current system around performance permitting. I actually don't really remember what these programs are called, but for folks who are yeah, I think our system is slightly different, but I don't know if there's a system for that for folks who are looking to do that.
We don't have a current policy around that. So that's people who are performing in stations,
Mhm.
playing music, things like that. Yeah, we don't have a formal policy around that to my knowledge. But it is something that I know other agencies do have and possibly something to look into for the future.
Okay, thank you.
just like to comment on the collaboration with the trust. That's a great collaboration. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other members have questions? If not, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If there's not any other questions, that is the end of the agenda for the committee today. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
It's adjourned.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Finance Committee. Can I please have the members of the committee identify themselves?
Tom Burgunder.
Joe Totten.
Senator Williams.
Good morning. Other board members?
Stephanie Terman.
Laura Sohinky.
Jen Liptak.
Great. Good morning, everybody. The minutes from the November 13th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting have been circulated. If there are no comments or corrections, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Today we are discussing two proposed resolutions. The first is the authorization to adopt collective bargaining agreements with IBW, and we'll hear from Mike Cetra on this.
Good morning, Madam Committee Chair Shakir and committee members and other board members. This resolution that I have for the committee's consideration this morning would authorize PRT to ratify the terms and conditions of a new collective bargaining agreement with International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 29. IBW Local 29 represents 68 PRT employees that work in customer service, benefits, finance, police telecommunications, and related administrative positions throughout the agency. Our most recent collective bargaining agreement with IBW is set to expire at the end of April of this year. Prior to its expiration, as we typically do, representatives from PRT and representatives from IBW engaged in good faith negotiations for the proposed terms and conditions of a new agreement. In November, the parties signed a tentative agreement, which is included as Exhibit A to the resolution in members' packets this morning that IBW membership ratified shortly after the new year on behalf of IBW. As you'll see in the packet, the proposed new agreement is fairly straightforward. It would include a 2-year term that would run from May 1, 2026 through April 30th of 2028. And that would include 3% wage increases in both year 1 and 2 of the agreement. Estimated cost over the status quo agreement is approximately $442,000 over that 2-year period. Subject to any member questions, I respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Do any members? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Emma.
Go ahead.
I just have one quick question. Is a 2-year term what we usually do? Is that normal?
I would say it depends kind of on what our funding situation is. So, I'm meeting and discussing with IBW and, knowing we have relative financial stability, through our upcoming fiscal year, both parties agreed, the representatives at the table agreed that a 2-year term here made sense. So we can kind of come back to the table when we see what PRT's longer term funding situation looks like.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other members? Okay. Hearing no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to advance this to the full board next week.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That will advance to next week's board meeting.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, next, we have an authorization to apply for and enter into agreements for 2026 operating and capital grant funds, and we'll hear from Dominica Brown on this.
Good morning, Madam Chair, fellow committee members and board members. This authorization, as previously mentioned, is to authorize application, PRT's ability to apply for and enter into grant agreements for the 2026 operating and capital grant funds calendar year, 2026 calendar year. The reason that we do this resolution as for authorization for the year is because oftentimes when grant opportunities arise, we have strict timelines in order to get those grants. And many of these applications are recurring applications. Some are discretionary, meaning that they come up and we have an opportunity to get a grant that we may not always receive. They are federal, state, and local grants. And there are also other sources. An example of another source is the Hines grant that Maura presented on earlier today. This resolution would allow PRT staff to continue to submit applications and enter into grant agreements. And we obviously will keep the board updated through our finance committee presentations. So subject to any questions, I respectfully request that the finance committee recommends this resolution to the full board for consideration.
Do any members have questions? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to advance this to the full board next week?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. As the final agenda item for the Finance Committee this morning, we're going to hear again from Dominica to give us a review of the November and December 2025 financial statements.
All right. So when we look at monthly passenger revenues for the month of November and December, they're pretty much where they were around this time last year, just under where we budgeted for revenues. So as you can see, the month of November, there isn't a change from last year. However, we're about $100,000 below the budgeted amount for fares. However, total revenues for the month are about $600,000 above budgeted, and that is primarily due to interest income. Expenses for the month of November are $2.5 million below budgeted, and that is primarily due to wages and benefits. All other expenses are a bit higher than budgeted. That is because of software invoicing and primarily because of a timing difference. Once we get to the annual year-to-date slide, you'll see that all of the categories, expense categories, are under budget. Subsidies for the month of November are about $200,000 below budgeted, and that is primarily also due to a timing difference with invoicing for vehicle overhaul. For the month of December, revenues are about $200,000 above budgeted, again, due to interest income. Expenses for the month of December are about $3.5 million below budgeted, and that is again due to wages and benefits. Subsidies for the month of December are about $400,000 below budget, again due to invoicing and timing with vehicle overhaul services. So when we look at the year to date, we have about a $500,000 variance below budget for fares. Interest income is $2.4 million above budgeted, with a total difference between budgeted and actual revenues of $1.9 million above what was budgeted. Again, compared to last year, fares are slightly below by about $260,000, 260,000, not $1 million. But interest income is still $1 million above last year. For December, our expenses, again, year to date, wages and benefits are $9.6 million below our budgeted amount. And every category is below, with the $25.2 million difference between budgeted and actual. Every category of our expenses is below wages and benefits, primarily due, again, to vacancies. Subsidies year to date are about $2.2 million below, below what was budgeted. And compared to last year, it's about $12.7 million below what was budgeted. The difference between this year and last year is about $10 million that was federal stimulus funds that we expended in 2025 that we all know we fully expended, so they're no longer available to us this year. We began the month of December with $396.1 million in operating reserves. There were cash inflows of $30.3 million, outflows of $48.2 million, and we ended the month of December with a reserve of $378.2 million. That is the end of the finance review. Are there any questions?
I have a question related to the interest that we've received, which is substantially above what was budgeted. That's a nice position to be in. I applaud you. But how does that happen? Why is there such a variance from what was expected to what there is?
So at the end of fiscal year 2025, we only used about 12 million of our reserves when we expected to use about 50 million. That variance was because of some changes that we had. We had our hiring freeze. We, tried to keep costs low and things of that nature. And so that resulted in us having more reserves at the end of the year than we expected, thus more cash to earn interest on. Also, we make assumptions when we're budgeting on what our returns might be on interest, but there's always a difference with that because we just never really know exactly what the rates would look like and what the market would do.
Thank you.
This is Senator Williams. A question on the year-end expenses, the wages and benefits. You talked about that being lower because of the unfilled positions. Do you expect for on slide 41, the wages and benefits for the year, you mentioned that was lower because of unfilled positions. For next year, I know you've talked about our bus driver spots being filled. Do we expect that number to be closer, or are there still other unfilled positions, such as in maintenance or operations or something like that?
Yes, so the operators are just one portion of the variance. We do have several vacancies in a few of our divisions, and your assumption around maintenance is right. It is one of them, but throughout the agency, we do have some vacancies still. So that is the main reason for the variance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, that concludes the Finance Committee meeting, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Good morning. I will now call to order the Oversight Committee. Will other committee members please identify yourselves?
We can't hear you.
Better now?
Barely. You're very quiet, Tia.
It's very faint.
How is this? Does this sound better?
Yeah,
Much better.
Okay, I think it's my earphones. Good morning. I will now call to order the Performance Oversight Committee. Will other committee members please identify yourselves?
Senator Williams.
Laura Sohinki.
Any board members?
Tom
Emma
Burgundy.
Schuker. Oh, sorry,
Joe
Tom.
Totten.
Bobby. Stephanie Terman.
Jen Liptak.
The minutes of the November 13th, 2025 Performance Oversight Committee have been circulated. If there aren't any questions, do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the awarding of bids with Justin Cava.
Thank you and good morning, committee members. I have 3 items today for your consideration. The first item is bid number B2510-70. This is a diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF for short. This is utilized in the maintenance of PRT's bus fleet. The picture that you see here is an actual DEF tank at our East Liberty Division. It has 1,000-gallon capacity. The function of the DEF fluid is to convert harmful nitrogen oxide emissions into harmless nitrogen and water vapor. 392 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 6 suppliers accepted the invitation. 5 bids were received. A recommendation that a contract be awarded to PPC Lubricants in the estimated amount of $502,500. The contract duration will be over a 2-year period with no renewal options. The second item is bid number B2510-71. This is for on-call plumbing services. This service is utilized in the maintenance repair of plumbing and sewer line systems belonging to PRT. This service includes any expertise, labor, parts, material supervision, and any necessary equipment. 668 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 3 suppliers accepted the invitation. 3 bids were received. A recommendation that a contract be awarded to F5 Construction Services in the estimated amount of $432,494.50. The contract duration will be over a 3-year period with no renewal options. And the final bid is bid number B2510-73. This is for pantograph assemblies for our light rail vehicles. This component is utilized in the maintenance repair of PRT's LRV fleet. The picture you see here is one of our cars, and the pantograph, the purpose of that, of the pantograph is to constantly make contact to the overhead catenary, which provides power to the motors. 198 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 1 supplier accepted the invitation. 1 bid was received. The recommendation that a contract be awarded to Shunk Carbon Technology, LLC, in the estimated amount of $1,220,466.30. The contract duration will be over a 3-year period with no renewal options. Are there any questions on these 3 bids?
Do any members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
A comment.
Yeah.
I love your photos. They're so educational.
Oh, thank you. That's attributed to Anna Marie McKibben. I'm not in any photos this month, so. Yeah.
Good teamwork.
Yeah.
So subject to any further questions, I respectfully request these bids be taken to the full board for approval.
Okay. Hearing no questions, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have- All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now have a quarterly update of the tentative schedule of upcoming solicitations, also by Justin Cava.
Okay, these are some of the upcoming solicitations. This is about 6 months out. It's a snapshot. Procurements are added as we go and taken off if necessary. Any potential vendors can register on our website. They can also view current bids. And again, we're looking at 6 months. Things can be added or reduced. So we have upcoming equipment cleaner, seat cushions and foam padding, cleaning solvent service, fire alarm system testing service, coach replacement parts for body, cooling, suspension, snow remover services for park and ride lots, general marketing services, finance and pension plan audit services, pension plan actuarial services, Palo Alto Panorama support subscription, Adobe Enterprise, Nutanix cloud infrastructure licenses, TX64 modems, employee apparel, TeamViewer Tentra subscription, learning management system services, and bus real-time data.
I have a question. Are you seeing any decrease in participation or people submitting bids because of the new regulations on the
I'm-
MW?
No, we're still seeing. bids.
It's still an
Yeah,
uptick?
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Do any other board members have questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Kava.
This is
someone,
a real quick question. This might be something for more for the technology committee. I'm not sure, but there was a public comment a while ago around rerouting information available to writers in third-party apps, and helpfully, there was a follow-up to that question, which basically stated, I think, that the transit app, third-party app, requires an additional cost to display certain rerouting information. And I I know that currently there's decisions being made regarding the budget and ongoing state funding crisis. So I want to know if there's a prioritization process for this sort of information, customer information. I don't think it ties in with the bus real-time data piece, but it's more about the display to our writers. So this is more of a informational kind of question in terms of understanding, whether there's a way to prioritize that.
Yes, good question, Bobby. This is Jeffrey Devlin. Actually, the bus real-time data is for some internal tracking and efficiencies of knowing where our buses are for our operations group. We are actually also exploring options to work with a third-party apps. Unfortunately, we can't just establish a contract with any one of the third-party apps to share that detour information without going through a competitive bid process to expend that kind of funding. So we're in very early stages of developing a scope to put an RFP out sometime in the future to be able to have third-party apps be more active in having that the detour data and posing it for our customers. I know that didn't really answer your question, but we are looking into what is the best method to ensure that our third-party apps are picking up and displaying that information to our customers.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that it's a conversation that's happening. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, thank you.
are there any other questions? We'll now continue our proposed resolution, starting with the authorization for settlement by Mike Setra.
Good morning, Committee Chair McClenny, other committee members and board members. This resolution would authorize PRT to settle a public liability claim. An accident involving a PRT bus and a bus passenger occurred on July 10th, 2018 at approximately 9 a.m. near the intersection of Summit Park Drive and Chavez Drive. I think Chavez Drive, I might be saying that wrong, I apologize, in Robinson Township. This was at Robinson Town Center. Daisha Dickerson was the passenger on the bus at the time when it stopped for Ms. Dickerson to exit the bus at the rear doors near a bus stop consisting of a concrete pad and a bus shelter. However, when Ms. Dickerson exited the bus, she fell into a grassy area located just outside of the concrete pad area. Ms. Dickerson suffered alleged physical injuries as a result of the accident, and her legal counsel submitted a personal injury claim and filed a lawsuit against PRT on her behalf seeking monetary recovery. Following good faith negotiations, the parties have agreed, subject to approval by PRT's board, to fully and finally settle the matter with no admission of guilt or liability by PRT for the total settlement amount of $199,000. Subject to any member questions, I respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Do any members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Any second?
Yeah, sure, second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Setra. We will now have two authorizations presented by Inez Kalan.
Good morning, board members, Madam Chair, and guests. Today, as stated, I have two resolutions for your consideration for the advancement to the full board. The first being the authorization to amend and extend the agreement with commercial consulting for drug and alcohol compliance program services. In November 2022, PRT board authorized the award of Agreement R2204 to commercial consulting to provide said services. These services include, but are not limited to, as an example, mobile collection services, medical review officer, and substance abuse professional services, and so on. The agreement was executed for an initial 3-year term with a total not to exceed amount of $1,331,001.68. The initial 3-year period for this particular agreement expires on March 1, 2026. PRT has determined that it is in our best interest to exercise our first option year, extending the agreement through March 1, 2027, with no increase to the previously authorized not to exceed amount. We also wish to amend the agreement to include the United States Department of Transportation approved oral fluid drug testing methods to that agreement. It is anticipated that our collectors will receive the required training upon approval of the 2 additional laboratories by the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. I'd like to add that this service benefits both the employee and the employer alike, as oral fluid collections are faster, requires no specialized restroom, and can be performed virtually anywhere, reducing downtime and increasing operational efficiencies. I respectfully request that this resolution be presented to the full board. And are there any questions?
Do any members have questions?
So I do. The same company will do the extended service as well.
That is correct. All mobile collectors across the United States, once it's approved, will receive the relevant training. And quite frankly, this is a long time coming because we will be extremely flexible. And as I indicated, we'll be able to perform the testing virtually anywhere, no specialized facility, but more importantly, on those tests that require same gender, we won't have to worry about that.
And they're not going to exceed the existing amount with added service.
That's the $1 million question. At this time, we don't know what they're going to charge for said service. Nothing, at this point, they haven't established who the laboratories are going to be. And for that matter, we don't know what the charge is at this time. Good questions, because I've been worrying about that.
But it's an important subject.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next resolution for your consideration is to amend an agreement with Siegel Company, Eastern States Incorporated for compensation market study services. In November 2022, the board authorized the award of agreement R2202 to the Siegel Group to review PRT's existing classifications and salary structure for non-represented positions. The objective of this engagement was to identify and address any remaining issues stemming from the 2019 compensation market study and to ensure that PRT remains competitive in attracting and retaining talent within PRT, and furthermore, also reducing our time to fill. The agreement was executed for an initial 3-year term with the option to extend the term up to 2 additional 1-year periods at the sole discretion of PRT for a total not to exceed amount of $270,000. To date, the contractor's performance has been satisfactory and in compliance with the terms of the agreement. This agreement initially had a 3-year term and expires January 20, 2026. PRT has determined that it is in our best interest to exercise the first option year, extending the agreement through January 2027, and to increase the total not to exceed amount by $55,000 for a revised total not to exceed amount of $325,000. This increase will allow us to complete a compensation desk audit for 2026. Madam Chair, I respectfully request your approval for this authorization to advance to the full board.
Do any members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kalan. We will now have 3 resolutions presented by Eric Bilski.
Good morning, committee members and other board members. Today I will present to you 3 resolutions. The first one for your consideration is an authorization to enter into an agreement for non-destructive testing of rail services. The non-destructive testing of rail, I have a picture for your visual. There is a scanning equipment that will ultrasonically scan our rail, and it will identify any flaws that cannot be visually seen by our track walking inspections. The one proposal was received on September 19th, 2025 by Smith Emery Laboratories. I will note this is a specialty service that very few service providers are available in the country to provide this service. We have determined that the price of Smith Emery Laboratories was fair and reasonable. The scope would provide annual testing at a fixed price as well as needed inspections. Unlike our other services agreements, this is not a task order based agreement, but rather it has specified scope that will be provided. This agreement would be for 3 years as a base term plus 2 one-year option periods. For the base term, the not to exceed amount would be $375,000. Pending any questions, I would respectfully request that this resolution be advanced to the full board for consideration.
Do any members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next resolution that I want to present today is to extend and amend the agreements for construction, management, and program management services. The agreements R2205A through G were awarded in January of 2023 to a pool of 7 firms: SAI Consulting, Urban Engineering, CDR McGuire, Hill International, WSP USA, Parson Transportation Group, and TRC Engineers. This service provides for field management on construction projects as well as inspectors on construction projects. The not to exceed amount for the agreements was $50 million combined for all the pool of firms to be utilized. The work is assigned on a task order basis. The 3-year base term expires in March 31st of this year. And this would be authorization to exercise the first of 2 one-year option periods. So pending any further questions, I respectfully request the committee move this to the full board for consideration.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor,
Aye.
please say
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next resolution I wish to present to you is an authorization to extend and amend contracts for ancillary construction services. The contracts SYS 2109, GHGB, P, E, H, and RR were awarded in January of 2022. The firms providing the services are Michael Fasciano Contracting for the GH General Heavy Highway category, Archon Contracting GB General Building category, Tedesco Excavating and Paving for the P Plumbing category, Schulteis Electric for the E Electrical category, SSM Industries for the H HVAC category, and Railworks Track Services for the RR, which is the Railroad Services category. The first of the two one-year option periods was awarded by the board last January, and the work is assigned for these services on a task order basis. Today's resolution provides for the exercising of the second and last option year for all 6 contractors. And additionally, it authorizes an increase of the not to exceed amount for Archon Contracting under the general building category to $18,433,952. Pending any further questions, I respectfully request the committee move this to the full board for consideration.
Do any members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bilski. That concludes the meeting of the Performance Oversight Committee. If there are no questions, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Could I get a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
My name is Tom Bergender. I'd like to call to order the Technology Committee. May I have a roll call of members of the committee? Tom Bergender,
Bobby Finn.
Joe Totten.
other board members,
Uh, Senator Williams.
Emma Schuker.
Tia McClenny.
Jen Liptak.
Stephanie Terman.
Laura Stohinky.
the November 13 Technology Committee minutes have been circulated. Do I have any questions or changes? May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The Technology Committee has two resolutions for your consideration today. The awarding of bids will be discussed by Justin Cava. It's for SysAid Cloud Annual ITSM. Justin, would you make the presentation?
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. I have one item today for your consideration. Bid number B25-23 was for SysAid Software Cloud Annual ITSM. ITSM stands for IT Service Management. This is utilized by PRT's internal customer engagement department with handling desktop support and services. 1,324 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 3 suppliers accepted the invitation. 3 bids were received. Recommendation that a contract be awarded to Digital Net Solutions LLC, DBA Mars Bear Incorporated, in the estimated amount of $166,666.95. The contract duration will be over a 3-year period with no renewal options. Subject to any further questions, I respectfully request this bid be taken to the full board for approval.
Are there any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve this resolution to carry it to the board?
Motion.
Second? Do I
Second.
have all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Now
Thank
we
you.
have an authorization to enter into an agreement with a pool of firms to provide AIS technology consulting services.
Good morning. My
Do I
name is,
have
sorry.
Go ahead. Would you make the presentation?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, committee members. My name is Eric McKibben. I'm the Director of Enterprise Software and System Architecture for PRT. I'm presenting a resolution to enter into agreements with a pool of firms to provide these technology consulting services. The consulting services are divided into 8 categories, and they are work is issued on a work order basis to augment projects and expertise in-house. The examples of some of the work orders could be software development, could be assistance with planning network infrastructure. Also, more importantly, recently has been to analyze some of our old legacy systems, such as our microwave radio project and the PeopleSoft human resources and finance systems, to find out what kind of gaps there are in functionality and to present a scope of services for an RFP for the future. So the categories, category 1, application support and development. That is where the software development assistance and support come in. The firms are listed as GNC Consulting, IT Works, DBA Volano, IQ Inc., Computer Aid Inc., and 22nd Century Technologies. Business analytics is fairly straightforward. It is reporting and data analytics, also for finding ways to streamline and centralize our data for better use by the rest of the agency. Firms who are IT Works, DBA Volano, Computer Aid Inc., 22nd Century Technologies. Category 3 is rider-centric services for intelligent transportation vehicles. It's a long way of saying rider-facing technology projects, things that would hopefully help make the experience better for our customers. Firms who are IT Works, DBA Volano, Trifacta Inc., and Smart Simple Solutions, LLC. Category 4, telecommunications, networks, and servers. That is also pretty straightforward, but we also have projects like assessments and card access security. Phone systems was another big one. IT Works, DBA Volano, 22nd Century Technologies, Smart Simple Solutions, LLC, V Group, and Solutions for Networks. Category 5 is a new one for us this time around, audiovisual systems to help build things like conference rooms, the equipment in this boardroom, but it could also be used for things like two-way communications and customer-facing systems. Wayfinding is another example. Category 6 is another new one, and this is kind of, for me, it's a nerdy, exciting thing. 3D printing and modeling services to be able to help our operations model parts for older things like the rail vehicles, to maintain them, keep them in service. One firm, Smart Simple Solutions, was the recommendation. Category 7 is a big one for us. It is business process, infrastructure, security assessment, and related information technology reviews, assessments, and general IT advising. It's long, but that is where we will do a lot of our security audits, software license usage review, optimization planning to make sure we're getting the best and the most out of the things we pay for. And we're looking at doing contract review and, again, scopes of services for RFPs. GNC, IT Works, DBA Volano, 22nd Century, Securance Consulting, and Deloitte LLP were the firms. Category 8, temporary consulting. This is where we'll have short-term engagements across many of the services and the other categories to help us do projects, bring in a person to assist with maybe a shortage in staff. So the term would be for 4 years plus 2 optional years with a not to exceed of $11,680,000. Subject to any further questions that committee members may have, I would respectfully request that the Technology Committee recommend the resolution to the board for full approval.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to carry the resolution to the board?
Sorry, this is Bobby. I have just one question. And you might have just covered it, but the CompuVision Consulting, is that computer vision?
I just know it as CompuVision. I don't know if that is an alias for or another name for the firm. We can look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what that is relevant for.
It's just one of the firms that had submitted a proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to take the resolution to the board?
I do have a question, and this is off the back end of Bobby's question. Is there a way that we can get a breakdown in some of the bullets? But some of the can
What would you like?
find.
Yeah, we can present any other additional information you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little more. It's a little vague.
Okay.
Of the services.
Oh,
is there
sure.
a way we can dive a little bit more into it? Oh, okay. In the summary? Oh, okay. And we've had it, no, we've had a chance to review.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
We have any more questions? Eventually, we'll get to the resolution.
It's right in front
No,
of me.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, do I have a motion to take the resolution to the board?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the Technology Committee report for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you for your consideration.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Financial Audit Committee. On an annual basis, PRT engages an independent auditor to complete an annual single audit and financial statement audit of PRT's finances. The Financial Audit Committee convenes annually to receive the audit report presentation and determine whether to make a recommendation to the full board concerning adoption of the audit report. Dr. Chris Bresselars, Laura Sohinki, and Stephanie Turman are other members of this committee. Can you each confirm that you are present?
Present, Stephanie Turman.
Present, Laura Sohinki.
If other board members are present, could you please identify yourself?
Tom Bergender.
Tia
Joe
McLean.
Totten. Joe Totten.
Emma Schuker.
The committee last
Jen
met on.
Liptak.
Oh, hi Jen. Hi Chair. The committee last met on January 23rd, 2025. I'd like to request a motion for approval of the minutes from that meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We have with us today representatives from Meyer Dussel, PRT's independent auditor. I invite them to make their presentation concerning the audit.
I'm just going to make a quick introduction of our representatives from Meyer Dussel. So just to kind of reiterate, PRT is subject to several audits and reviews. The coming presentation is a review of the fiscal year 2025 single audit. The single audit is an entity-wide audit of financials, compliance, and testing of internal controls. This audit is an annual requirement due to PRT receiving more than $750,000 in federal funds. Today we have Dustin Starr, who will be presenting, and Jeffrey Kent is also present from Meyer Dusel, and they are our independent auditors. Thank you.
Morning. I'm Dustin Starr, as mentioned. I do have a brief presentation to go over. If we could go to the next slide. Our agenda for today includes a required communications, the fiscal year 2025 financial statements, and then any up and coming changes that will have significant change to the 2026 financial statements. So reports issued. There are several reports that we commonly issue each year. The focus today will be the financial statements in single audit, as well as the communication of those charged with governance. We do issue supplemental schedules required by PennDOT, NTD agreed upon procedures each year, as well as separately issued pension plan financial statements. Depending on our overall testing and any circumstances, we often have written communications and a management letter, none of which are considered to be findings or deficiencies in internal controls. However, for 2025, all management letter type comments were very minor and didn't warrant a written communication there. So then moving on to our auditor's responsibility. So an audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence. Our audit is financially focused, and we provide our opinions from a financial perspective. We are required to gain an understanding of internal controls. Those internal controls help us design our audit procedures. However, we are not giving an opinion on the effectiveness of internal controls. We issue essentially 3 reports as part of the single audit reporting package. I'm going to touch on those results here shortly. 3 reports, one being driven toward the financial statement numbers. The second report being in accordance with government auditing standards that requires us to report back any deficiencies that we come across as findings. And then the third report being the uniform guidance report, which is then focusing specifically on the federal awards that are expended and the compliance with those federal funds. Included within the financial statements is also required supplementary information. This includes the management discussion and analysis, as well as pension and OPEB, OPEB being other post-employment benefits. Those schedules are required to be part of the reporting package. However, our audit opinion is on the base financial statements, and we're required to review and reconcile those schedules to the financial statements as a whole. Additionally, the supplementary information, including the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, similar to the RSI, is required to be reconciled to the financial statements as a whole. However, our opinion is not driven to those specific amounts. All financial statements have an element of significant estimates. Found here are 3 significant estimates. No changes from the prior year. The first 2 are actuarially driven. The net pension liability and then the OPEB liability being the post-employment benefits, including post-retirement healthcare, including healthcare, vision, and dental insurances that are provided to retirees. The third one is claims and settlements, which is an internally developed estimate that includes reserves for any claims and settlements that PRT is expected to pay out in the future. Audit results. I'm glad to report that all the records and information requested by us as the independent auditors were freely available for our inspection. We'd like to acknowledge the full cooperation extended to us by all levels of PRT's personnel throughout the course of our work. There's a significant number of individuals that we do obtain information from. Very appreciative to all those individuals and the overall oversight from Dominica and Pete during the audit process. Glad to report back we had no material audit adjustments posted. Therefore, the information that's being reviewed on a routine basis is congruent with the audited financial statements. So now the results of our audit reports. We have an unmodified for both the financial statements themselves and the separately issued pension plan financial statements. So a clean audit opinion, the highest level of assurance. Our report over accordance with government auditing standards. Glad to report back no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses noted that would be required to be reported as findings within that report. The last report focusing in on the federal awards, an unmodified opinion on compliance. So no deficiencies found within the spending of these funds. Our major program audited was the federal transit cluster, which makes up a vast majority of the overall total federal awards expended of approximately $109 million. So some summary financial statement information in comparison to the prior year. The first is the statement of net position. Ended the year with an overall net position of approximately $537 million, an increase from the prior year of approximately $122 million. And moving on, the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes. Operating loss for the year, approximately $495 million, excuse me. An overall increase of approximately $38 million. However, if you see the changes here, most of that change is related to non-cash items related to pension, OPEB, and depreciation. That loss is then funded by non-operating grants and capital grants for an overall change in net position of approximately $123 million for 2025. Funding of the overall operational loss, as I mentioned, an operating loss of approximately $496 million is reported in the financial statements. However, that consists of non-cash items. Changes in the OPEB liability was actually a positive change of $45 million. The pension liability of $8 million, reducing depreciation and leases by $97,000. Comes to an overall non-cash related loss of $436 million, excuse me. And then that's funded by the operating grants, capital used for operating of 73, PennDOT net of unearned revenue of $313 million, local and interest making up the rest of $52 million to get that balanced budget of $436 million. There was a significant change from 2024. As you can see, if you followed the 2024 column, that funding was supplemented. The PennDOT funding was supplemented by federal CARES and CARISA money under COVID-19 funding arrangements. That was fully expended in 2024. Therefore, the significant increase in the PennDOT operating assistance net of unearned revenue. The next graph shows the change from each year of the unearned revenue of the PennDOT operating subsidy. This number significantly increased during 2022, 23, and 24 as the federal COVID-19 funding was used and the operating assistance was held as deferred revenue and not spent. The change here in 2025 as the revenue was fully spent for the federal operating assistance, the PennDOT funding is now starting to be used and supplement rather than the use of the federal funds. Overall, unearned revenue as of year end was approximately $450,000, with the bulk of that amount being $400 million of PennDOT operating. As I mentioned, significant estimates found within the financial statements include the net pension liability and the OPEB liability. Here are those in thousands for the three plans. can move to the next slide. Those liabilities significantly change from one year to the next, depending on what is expected for those trust funds to earn in any given year. And this is a depiction of how that liability can change if investment returns for the investments that are held in trust for the pension plans underperform 1% or overperform by 1%, and how that changes the overall liability from one year to the next. Next is the percentage of total pension liability to the overall value of the trust amongst the three plans. The overall percentage itself is just simply taking what's held in trust versus what the projected liability is. However, all contributions that are actuarially determined each year are being paid into the plan. So no issues here with the overall funding, because the current contributions that the actuary is determining is sufficient to continue to fund the pension plan. Moving on to the OPEB liability, the three plans here, including the liabilities for the OPEB plan. The OPEB plan does not have a trust, therefore is on a pay-as-you-go basis. As claims are made, payments are made in real time. With that being said, since there's no real evaluation of a trust and how that investment return calculates to the overall liability, an important mark here is the medical trend rate, so the cost of these insurances. Same idea here. If insurance expenses increase 1% or decrease 1%, the overall effect on that liability here is depicted. So that covers the overall financial statement overview. There is some up and coming changes to financial reporting in the future periods. One being the most significant, the financial reporting model improvements. As I showed in some prior slides, how I reconciled that operating loss. There is going to be a change in the overhaul of how authorities report their financial statements to help streamline and make that a little bit more of an understandable approach. And I feel will be a significant improvement for financial reporting models in the future. So here's our contact information. Any questions?
Thank you for this report. Do any board members present have any questions of Meyer Dussel? Okay. Dominica Brown, will you please present the resolution to the committee?
All righty. So this resolution authorizes PRT's acceptance of the 2025 fiscal year auditor's reports, including necessary signatures. If there are no questions, I respectfully request the Finance Committee recommends this resolution to the entire board.
Is there a motion to recommend to the full board?
Motion.
I'll make the second. I do have a statement, just a comment, Chair, if I may. Mrs. Jen.
Absolutely, Chair.
I didn't want to have the entire audit go past without any comment. Obviously, I just wanted to mention personally that the financial condition is not something I'm pleased with. Understanding there's a lot of other variables involved that have led us to this point, but I just wanted to make note that I think that as a collective and myself and paying attention to this situation, and I think the staff and we're trying to work our best to make sure we have fiscal stability long term moving forward. I do want to recognize the staff for putting a plan in place with their partners to have us continue our operations, be able to continue to provide great service. That's very important, at least to me. I'm sure it's to everyone else as well. But I just want to mention that again, this is not good. We saw this in prior years. I've seen this in prior years, how the funding structures have been reduced. Dependence on the federal funding from the COVID funds has been, spent as it was supposed to. So now we're in a very difficult position. So I just wanted to reference that personally and just make a comment. So thank you, Chair, for allowing me to do so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any other further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The resolution will be brought to the full board for consideration. That's the end of the agenda for committee today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Great, thank you. Meeting adjourned.